rogue, you sneak ahead to scout out the corridor and room. You discover a locked chest.
Oh, heck yeah! I'm gonna pick that lock. That's a 20 on the die! Which makes a 39 total.
It's now unlocked. Inside, you discover a mound of gold upon which sits 3 massive emeralds worth some 1,000 gold pieces each.
Oh, heck yeah!
I'm gonna pocket the 3 emeralds and then go back to the rest of the group and tell them that I found a chest full of gold.
Well, yeah, but aren't you gonna tell us about the emeralds too?
Nope, and you weren't there, so your character doesn't know that I have them.
Well, yeah, but I know that you have them, and it's not fair.
Aha! The classic dilemma of allowing player versus player in the game.
Look, you guys, you all agreed that player versus player was okay, and that no one would get upset about it when it happened.
Yeah, but.
Dear. Yeah, not getting upset about PvP presumes that all of the players are mature enough to handle that.
And that was a really bad assumption to make for that moron right there.
Oh, please, just give him one of the emeralds and make him shut up.
Okay, fine. Here, take an emerald, you big baby.
Yeah!
Welcome to DM Lair. I'm Luke Hart, and I've been a dungeon master since high school. On this channel, I give practical game master advice that you can use in your D&D or RPG game. Today in the Lair, we're going to be talking about this wonderful topic of player versus player. And we've got lots of ground to cover as well. We're gonna talk about the 3 basic social dynamics of RPGs, only one of which includes PvP, my observations and experiences with gameplay that involves PvP, how you might go about including PvP in your games if you choose to do so, and why I don't generally allow PvP in my games. So, lots of stuff to talk about today. Sorry, Zach, if this goes long. But first, if you're a dungeon master looking to reduce your prep time and improve your D&D games, consider becoming a DM Lair patron and getting an issue of Lair magazine every single month. Lair magazine is full of game master resources such as traps, puzzles, NPCs, new monsters, and even entire 5th edition adventures complete with maps designed for use on virtual tabletops. In fact, the August issue, Destiny and Dread, was recently released, and it contains 10 new magic items, 5 pre-made encounters complete with maps, 4 new subclasses for the Bard, Druid, Fighter, and Paladin, 10 new Elemental Kin monsters, and 2 D&D 5th edition adventures, Adventures in Babysitting for level 2 groups, and the Decayed Laboratory for level 8 groups. In addition to Lair magazine, DM Lair patrons also get monthly bonus content such as map packs with maps you can use for virtual tabletop play, city tiles you can use to make your own custom city maps, and extra 5e adventures. You can become a DM Lair patron at the link below, and when you do so, you'll get access to 2 issues of Lair magazine, both the August and July issues, and loads of other patron benefits. The 3 basic social dynamics of RPGs. To discuss player versus player intelligently, we need to look at the various social dynamics at work in an RPG such as D&D. Though these social dynamics exist in most RPGs, I imagine. So, I'm going to go over some of the social dynamics theory, so to speak, but it's a good foundation for the practical advice that I'll get to afterwards. Alexander Macris, in his book Arbiter of Worlds, lays out 3 different ways that players interact with each other in tabletop games, and from my own personal experience, they seem to conform with what I've seen as well. Number 1, collective play. Collective play is summarized by the all for one, one for all mentality, or I think it's one for all for one, something like that. You guys got me. Essentially, everybody is working together, and when I say everybody, I mean the characters. The characters are working together. The characters have each of their own best interests in mind, that of the other characters, and everybody's happy, treats each other friends. We're all hug, wee, you know. Essentially, players RP, they role play their characters with the overall good of the campaign in mind. Their characters work together and are friendly toward each other. The players create characters that fit in with the other characters and get along with them. The group makes decisions collectively or as a democracy, and players abide by those decisions. Number 2, competitive collective play. This style of play is best summarized by we're in it together, but I don't have to like it. The players' characters in this sort of campaign work together, but are not necessarily friendly toward each other. The players create characters that are willing to adventure together and will work with the other characters, but they might have ulterior motives and not like the other characters or care about them or whether they live or die overly much. Your players are still role-playing their characters with the overall good of the campaign in mind, even if they would rather not, or if their character would do something else if role-played properly. Players in this sort of campaign do not use the "that's what my character would do" line of reasoning. They just don't go there, even if their PC would or should, because they still have the overall good of the campaign and the other players in mind. And the group makes decisions collectively or as a democracy, and players will abide by those decisions. This is the same as in collective play. The group is working together. Number 3, individualist play. This style of play is characterized by the all against all or every man for himself mentality. This playstyle allows, some people might say embraces, player versus player gameplay. Each player makes their own character, their own decisions, and accepts the consequences of those decisions. In this sort of campaign, the "that's what my character would do" line is perfectly acceptable. If you steal from the group and they turn on you and slit your throat, you'd better be okay with sleeping in that bed because you made it, and in this style of campaign, well, that's just the way things might go. If the rogue in the group betrays everybody else, steals the MacGuffin that you need to beat the final big bad boss, and as a result, the final big bad boss wins, you fail, and the world ends, you'd better be okay with that, because that's the sort of thing that can happen in this style of game. If the fighter gets upset at the wizard and decides to burn his spellbook, and then the wizard drops a fireball on the fighter in the next battle, well, all players had better be okay with that because that could happen as well. Now, these might seem to be extreme examples, but they give you a sense of what could happen in a game like this. Now, many times those extreme of player versus player things don't actually occur in these sorts of games, but they could, and the players had better be okay with that possibility because, at least in my experience, there's at least one player who will no doubt want to introduce some PvP chaos into the game just for funsies. Now, most of the games that I've run have used a combination of collective play and competitive collective play. Not because we had any lofty intellectual decisions about how we wanted to play the game, but because our gameplay just naturally took that course, primarily because of how I personally run my games. This means all players create characters that will adventure with and cooperate with the group, but they may or may not be friendly with each other. It is possible not to like people, but still force yourself to get along with them in order to accomplish a goal. Take your typical work setting, for instance. You probably don't like a lot of the people that you work with, but you force yourself to work with them and get along with them because you got a goal, you got a job to do, and you want that paycheck, right? That characterizes many characters in adventuring groups. So in my groups, sometimes it's the relationship between characters is like a brotherhood with a deep bond. Other times it's like forcibly getting along with coworkers because you know you have to, not because you want to. But this describes the character interactions. This is not necessarily how the players feel about each other, though I imagine there are probably a range of feelings there as well. However, on occasion, I have had gameplay slip into individualist play when a player decides to slip some mild PvP into the game. For example, I had a player, we'll just call him Beavis, who had a rogue that enjoyed stealing from the party quite a bit. He would sneak on ahead to scout things out, he'd find a chest, he'd unlock it, open it up, and take a bunch of loot for himself, and then not tell anybody about it. Of course, all the other players at the game table knew that the rogue had taken the loot. The character just didn't tell their other characters. Well, then one day after a game session, when Beavis had left, one of the other players blurted out and was quite upset about the other player's character constantly stealing their loot. So Things like this happening in my games, things that I feel are mild PvP and not PCs outright attacking each other or betraying each other, taught me how PvP can affect players, and it has led me to these 3 conclusions. Number 1, if player versus player is going to be a thing, it had better be discussed by and agreed upon by the players before the game begins. Ideally, this is gonna happen at a session 0, right? For folks who have those, not everybody does, it's okay. I've never had one. No, I've had one of them. I've had one session 0 before. Most of the time we just start playing the game. I think it's like a thing to talk about session 0s, like you read about it on forums, YouTubers make little videos about it. It's like session 0, wee! And it's like the vast majority of groups never have them and just play the game and have a blast. I don't know, but it's the cliche, it's the cool thing to talk about. Session 0, yay! Whatever. Definitely have a session 0. Yeah. Anyway, at your session 0, decide what type of game you're going to be playing together from the 3 different styles I went over. And if you decide that PvP will be allowed, then all players must agree that they won't get upset with each other out of character when PvP occurs. Perfectly fine for their characters to go at it in the game, but the players themselves had better be cool about it and calm and not get pissed at each other at the game table. Number two, many players are simply not mature enough to participate in an individualist game, even when everyone agrees in advance that player versus player will be part of the game. I'm telling you, I've seen it. They will still get upset at each other. They will still hold grudges. There will still be issues at the game table. Telling you, it takes a group of very mature players to be okay with PvP and being betrayed and having their character get destroyed and take that well. It's just, you're not gonna run into people like that a whole lot. Most of the time people can get pissed about it. I'm just telling you, it's just the way it is, dude. Of course, like 20 people down in the comments, Luke, we do PvP all the time and everybody's happy about it. That's fine, that's great. But that's the exception, not the rule. Number 3, because of point 2, I don't allow player versus player in my games except in rare circumstances. Usually these are when a player and I are working together, such as when I had one player whose character at level 1 was killed by an intellect devourer who then took over his body and was working under the rule of a mind flayer. And so I collaborated with that player. I said, hey, this is what happened. I'd like you to roleplay the intellect devourer, still basically roleplaying your character, only you're actually the intellect devourer and you're taking instructions from the mind flayer, and the player loved that idea, was super excited about it. So technically that's PvP, and there would have been a grand reveal when the other players found out. It would have been really cool. Fortunately, that campaign ended before we could get there, but it would have been really fun. But I only do that sort of thing when I'm confident that the other players will be mature enough to handle that specific situation we're creating. Another example of PvP that has happened in my games is mind control in my youngling group. Occasionally, from time to time, an enemy will come along that will dominate one of their characters, charm them, or do something like that will cause their character to fight against their other players' characters. And I'll tell you what, my youngling players love it when they get to fight each other in the game. They have a blast doing it. And there's no grudges, there's no hard feelings. They're an amazing group of players. My advice regarding PvP. Okay, so what is my practical advice for you? Approach PvP with extreme caution in your games. Be aware that one of the reasons that many players love RPGs like D&D is because they are not competitive like so many other games. They are not competing against the other players. There are no winners and losers. Instead, everyone is playing cooperatively together. And when one person wins, everyone wins. So, for some players, PvP will kill a part of the game that appeals to them. Thus, be very aware of this and be sure to discuss as a group if PvP will be allowed or not. If you don't get buy-in from all of your players, I recommend steering clear from PvP. Or at the very least, if all of your players don't agree, but you'll still have PvP in the game, I would let the player know that they are welcome to stay in the game, but it might turn out to not be the most enjoyable game for them if the PvP really gets under their skin. Now, if the group has agreed to not have PvP in the game, when you see it happening, because there will be at least one player who will try to slip some in, even if the group agreed not to have it. Then you as the game master need to step in and stop it. You remind them of the agreement the group came to regarding PvP and tell them their character can't do it. But Luke, player agency! No. This is one of the cases where players do not have agency. If the group agreed to have no PvP for very good reasons and a player tries to go there anyway, you stop them. Period. End of story. PvP isn't allowed in the game. Part of the social contract you all decided upon. And remember, PvP doesn't have to be fighting each other. PvP can be anything that is a negative action toward another character. Stealing from them is an example. Stealing loot from the group is an example. Any sort of thing that has the possibility of causing one player to get upset against the other player because they're taking a negative action against their character, that's PvP. Next, if you all decide to allow PvP, be prepared for it to blow up in your face, get players pissed off at each other, and ruin the game session. Even if you've already all agreed that PvP is okay. Here's the thing. Even though part of the conversation about allowing PvP is that all players should agree that they won't get upset with each other out of character about PvP, in my experience, not all players are mature enough to abide by that agreement. I think I hit on that topic already. There's always gonna be at least one player who gets pissed off by a betrayal in the game from another player, and that's going to result in a lot of drama, arguing, and sore feelings at the game table. This is what I think. I think the idea of PvP might appeal to a lot of people. We might conceptualize it, dream about how it could be, read stories on Reddit about how awesome a PC betraying the group in the final boss fight was and then siding with the villain. However, when the idea of PvP becomes actuality at the game table, it often results in players upset, not having fun, and potentially walking away from the group. Remember folks, what looks good on paper and what makes a great Reddit story is not always good in practice. And right about now is the time for everyone who disagrees with me and thinks PvP enriches the game experience and has never resulted in players pissed off at each other to give me a nice, beautiful, lovely little comment down below. Don't forget, if you're looking for a monthly D&D magazine stuffed with dungeon master resources such as magic items, traps, puzzles, and entire 5e adventures, check out my Patreon at the link below. Also, if you have Game Master questions, follow me on Twitch at the link below. I have weekly Q&A live streams and I'd love to be able to help. If you've had PvP blow up a game session, give this video a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what happened and who murderized who. Remember, let YouTube know that I don't completely suck. And until next time, let's play D&D.